Cats. Cats is a musical fantasy film directed and co-written by British filmmaker Tom Hooper, best known for the films The King's Speech, Les Miserables, and The Danish Girl, and based on the stage musical of the same name by Andrew Lloyd Webber, itself based on a collection of poems by T.S. Eliot. It sports a large ensemble cast, including James Corden, Judi Dench, Idris Elba, Jason Derulo, Rebel Wilson, Jennifer Hudson, Ian McKellen, Taylor Swift, and the newly introduced English ballerina Francesca Hayward in her feature film debut. And I feel like this film needs little introduction at this point, so I was laughing during the intro, because most people have become privy to its existence by now, and most people agree that it looks ridiculous and terrifying and was a very bad idea. But I went and saw it a couple days before Christmas, obviously under the influence of substances, because that was the only way that seemed appropriate, and I have a YouTube channel where I talk about the movies that I see, so I'm gonna talk about it right now. Now, I had seen a filmed version of the original Cats stage production once before, and I remembered barely anything about it. And the reason for that is that Cats doesn't really have a plot or like a point at all in its actual text, as far as I can tell. After all, the musical is based on a collection of poems by T.S. Eliot, like I said, that describe the behaviors and customs of cats, the point of which I cannot even begin to know, since it is definitely not supposed to be like an actual study of feline behavior, and is just kind of like random bullshit about what cats supposedly like to do and how they prefer to be addressed. I don't know, it was modernist poetry, so it was all just like exercises in formalism. And then the stage production went on to be hugely influential and a major departure from other popular stage musicals, essentially inventing the modern blockbuster Broadway show as we know it today, and paving the way for huge shows like Phantom of the Opera and The Lion King. It used the entire theater space to create an immersive environment around the live audience, with the cat characters all dressed in glitzy, over-the-top leotard costumes that matched their personalities, and with all the characters being present in the diegetic theater space throughout the whole show, with the entire show being sung through and no spoken dialogue. This is what made Cats the show such a huge phenomenon. It being a live, immersive show was crucial to its success and to it being big, dumb, campy fun rather than plotless drivel. This is also what makes any theatrical adaptation of Cats, especially a nominally live-action one, or one that includes live actors, incredibly difficult to make work, even before you address the many, many misguided decisions that this particular adaptation makes. At the end of the day, this is just not a show that works very well as a film, I don't think. The experience of watching these weird cat people just sing about the dumb shit they do all day, while nothing of note really happens, is very different on a flat screen than surrounded by it in a theater space entirely constructed around the experience, where, you know, you're being there physically with the actors is the point. So, already, before a second of actual footage is seen, this movie has a major knock against it. And then, of course, there's the actual movie. And I don't think I need to dwell on this too much. Everyone has made their own personal big stink about how awful looking this movie is. But I do need to do justice to the fact that this is just one of the most hilariously misguided design choices in a movie that I have ever seen. So I'm going to talk about it. These cats are just awkward and terrifying looking. Their human faces are awkwardly pasted onto computer-generated anthropomorphic cat-like bodies that aren't fully cats, but not fully human either. Many of them having human hands with just like tufts of fur on them. Enough of the cats wear clothes for it to be extremely off-putting when they walk around naked with their weird, hairy, human-like bodies that have no genitals, but do have the outline of human sexual parts like dick bulges and bosoms. Their human faces have whiskers, but are also like the color of their fur, and they have human noses. And then there's the fact that I was lucky enough to see the pre-patched alpha release of this film before they released the version with the finished visual effects, because apparently that's a thing now. So my screening was just riddled with amazing, hilarious digital effects problems. You had cats clipping through elements of the background, their feet not fully touching the ground, random black squares showing up on textures, including on poor Judi Dench's face where her face meets her mane. Just portions of fur not being rendered, revealing the actor's clothes and human body parts. In some parts you can see like the sleeves of digital fur around the actor's arms. And then there's what these cats are doing. This movie is so aggressively horny. The cats are gyrating and rubbing themselves and getting into bed in suggestive poses together and just giving each other fuck me eyes all the time. Within the first 20 minutes, we see the big Rebel Wilson cat repeatedly spreading her legs right toward the camera and then lifting her alarmingly dick-colored tail up in between her legs to use as a microphone, before proceeding to conduct an orchestra of little mice, which are human child faces plastered on little fat CGI rat bodies, and then starts eating a marching chorus line of cockroaches, which are also humanoids with live-action human faces pasted on terrifying, badly animated CGI cockroach bodies. She jiggles and gyrates around while biting these sentient beings in half and flashing her fucking asshole at the camera. Taylor Swift comes through and just coats all the cats in magical, horny pixie dust that makes them all writhe around and moan in pleasure. And then she dances with Idris Elba, whose bare cat skin looks very much like just his naked, hairy, dickless body. Everything in this movie is just so weird and uncanny and uncomfortable looking, and nothing is happening, so the movie is just this blur of indecipherable, baffling nonsense. It's actually kind of fucking awesome. Some of the songs are passable enough, but none of them have to do with each other. It's all just made up shit about cat customs and extremely vague, mystical stuff about getting chosen to die and go to cat heaven in a hot air balloon, and the evil cat wanting to, like, steal someone or something. None of the events, like, coalesce into a point or build on each other or follow each other or have anything to do with anything. And this is the problem with trying to adapt for the screen a stage show that's just supposed to be a collection of disjointed songs to be enjoyed in an immersive live theater experience with people in colorful, weird costumes and performing, various pastiches of different genres of music. Instead, you just feel trapped while you're watching writhing, moaning British cat-human monstrosities get naked and sing songs that feel endless and accomplish, nothing in particular. The whole cast is just shocking to watch, and only a few of them will make it out of this film with their careers intact. Jennifer Hudson gives the, lone, decent musical performance of the film, and has a costume that manages to sort of make her persona acceptable looking. Ian McKellen is hilarious, and the only one approaching his role with the balance between seriousness and just campy self-deprecation that it deserves. And Francesca Hayward, God bless her, this was supposed to be her big break into the pictures, and she seems like a decent enough dancer and singer, but Victoria is such a pitiful excuse for a main character in this film. She's relegated to essentially just floating around, being whisked around by characters and just making the same bewildered, slightly inquisitive expression at everything for the whole movie, which is only 100 minutes, but feels like it's 2.5 hours long. And that's pretty much the movie. I can't even begin to try to formulate any kind of like thematic reading of anything I've seen, because I was busy just being baffled at the audacity of every image. I do have to say, this isn't even close to like the worst movie I've ever seen. Once you get past the nightmarishness of it, it's mostly just kind of a boring, stupid musical. And they really do waste their most ridiculous and terrifying ideas in the first act. On a certain level, I kind of commend the movie for seemingly just wanting to punish the audience for watching it, and completely eschewing all coherent narrative structure or theme or even characterization in service of just being a horrible musical romp filled with off-putting, sexually charged imagery. I can see this being a pretty great sort of like cult midnight movie in the years to come. I don't have a burning desire to see it again anytime soon, and if I do, it'll probably be to show to and laugh at with friends, and I'll need to be under much stronger substances than I was this time around, let me tell you that. I started becoming lucid again about like 3/4 of the way through watching this movie, and by then I had forgotten who I was, and the passage of time had just left my brain, and I just resigned myself to just sitting back, and by then, just letting the movie wash over me, and just until it was over. I was just like, I don't even know or care. I don't know what I think. I don't know what I feel about any of this anymore. And it's just shit hitting me in the face now. Just let it keep doing that until it's done, and then I can leave, and maybe then I can like reconstitute my personality and think about this fucking movie in any way. I don't really have a conclusion for this. This movie sort of defies categorization or numerical rating, and trying to summarize it in any coherent way feels pointless, so I'm just not going to do that. I'm going to give Cats a 3 out of 10 and call it a day. But really, this could get any rating. Like, it's perfect and awful at the same time. The only thing I could think of to improve this movie, other than just never make it in the first place, is to honestly just make it even hornier, even more terrifying. Make the effects even shittier. Like, if this had just been, like, terrible costumes and makeup instead of CGI, I don't know, like, it wouldn't have the same magic as this does. And if it were a fully animated film like it was originally going to be, then it would kind of just be boring. I mean, you may have, you know, a little bit better of an exercise in aesthetic presentation, at least. You could make it look good, but, like, you know, it wouldn't be offensive enough to be interesting, and it wouldn't be immersive enough as the stage show to, like, justify it existing. So I'm kind of glad that they went the ridiculous nightmare route. Like, that's kind of great. And this is what the whole, like, use of technology to represent the human form has led up to, in a way, because now we have harnessed technology to completely eschew all manner of trying to represent reality, and can instead just contort our physical beings into whatever we want. And I don't have a full thesis of the implications of that, but it's powerful, and it's poignant, and it's Cats. So that's Cats. If you saw this fucking movie, let me know what you thought of it. I can't tie this to anything. Like, I can't make a point or whatever. Give money to my Patreon if you want. And more movie reviews coming up soon. You know the drill. Thank you for watching as always. I'll see you guys next time.